Hey everyone, welcome to Massachusetts Sports Central. We are continuing with our NFL division previews, and we are up to the NFC East. So I've been holding off on this one a little bit, hoping to hear a little bit more about Ezekiel Elliot. Have not yet, so I'm just going to move forward with what we know right now. But anyway, so as always, we're going to go from worst to first, and in this division, so this year we are going with the number 4 is the Washington Redskins. So this is going to be another one of those pretty strong top to bottom divisions. Yep. I do have Washington a little bit worse record than some of the other top divisions, but they could definitely win a couple more games, flip the script a little bit. One of the other teams could falter and they could finish higher than this. But overall, I think Cousins is good. I'm not one of these people who thinks that Cousins is completely overrated and is just doing it with smoke and mirrors. I don't think he's elite, but I don't think he's like a fraud either. So if we look at their schedule, I have them going 6-10. They have a moderately difficult schedule, not super hard. They do have a few weak teams, and I do have them beating all of them. But they do have some obviously all the division games are pretty tough. They play the AFC West. So they start, I have them 2-0, but then end up 2-2 because in weeks 3 and 4 they have Oakland at home and then at KC. That's pretty tough. They also have an early bye week, which is never ideal. Although in week 5, and they have some really tough games like playing at Seattle. I actually have them beating Minnesota at home, who I think Minnesota is going to be a pretty good team. So, right there, there's potential loss for a game that I gave them a win. So I do think they're going to be a decent team, but I don't think, especially in this tough division, I think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be particularly competitive. Again, like I said, one of the teams ahead of them could falter, and maybe they finish 3rd. I don't see them doing any better than that, though. All right, moving on. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Philadelphia is going to be improved. I think Wentz is going to continue to develop. I don't know if he'll ever be a super duper star, but I do think he showed signs, and I do think he has a good chance of being at least a solid above average quarterback in the league, and I think he's going to keep moving towards that this year. I do have him off to a shaky start, losing to Washington on the road to start, and then I don't think they have much of a chance at beating KC in Arrowhead. But then I have them winning, I believe, 7 in a row going into their Week 10 bye. They have some pretty weak teams, and they also have some of the stronger ones they lucked out and got at home, so that works out pretty good for them. So I have them winning their next game at home against Washington. I have them beating a mediocre to bad San Francisco team. I do have them beating Denver, who's decent, but they're much better at home than away. I do have probably the most likely game for them to lose that I have them winning there would be them starting 0-3 by losing at home to the Giants. But I think they're good enough. They're probably going to split with the Giants. Second half is where they fall apart, though. They have really bad. Not bad, but they have a strong schedule coming down the stretch there. So I have them. So they're at Dallas, which I have them losing. Then they have Chicago at home, so that should be a gimme. At Seattle, that's really tough. At the Rams are going to stink. They'll beat them. At the Giants, tough game, especially. It's hard to sweep a division opponent. Then they have Oakland at home and Dallas at home. I have them losing both of those games. So they end up 9-7, and that's good for 3rd place I have here. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys coming in at number 2. As I said, we haven't gotten official word of exactly what's going to happen with Ezekiel Elliott. We probably will have it before the Sunday games, but I want to get all this stuff out before the season opener on Thursday. So I'm just running with what I know right now, which is that he is playing in game 1, and unless there's some court action taken, he's going to miss 2 through 7 for his 6-game suspension, which would bring us through week 8. So I also have them at 9-7. I have them finishing ahead of Philadelphia, because if you notice, I actually have them sweeping the season series, so that would put them squarely ahead of Philadelphia, even though they have the same record. Again, you notice I have them. They have some tough games to start off anyway, and without Zeke, I think they are going to not do too great. So I have them. So through the first 7 games, so that includes the game he will play in Week 1, I have them going 3-4. I didn't change my prediction for Week 1. I had them losing to the Giants. I still have them losing to the Giants, even though it's at home, and they're going to have Elliott. This obviously is one that could definitely switch, but I think it's going to be close. Without Zeke, I didn't think it was going to be that close. So this could change a lot. We're actually going to come out with our first power rankings also today. And that's probably going to be a better gauge for where Dallas is going to finish, because after, even by the end, before or after Week 1 rankings, should have a better idea when the suspension is going to happen. So right now, if he doesn't serve the suspension at all, or if it gets moved to some other time, I would definitely switch that Week 3 game where I have them losing at Arizona with Zeke. I would take them definitely in that game. Week 2 at Denver. That one's tougher. Denver's very good at home. They have the very good defense, but the one thing that they were a little bit suspect on from last year was their run defense. So if they didn't fix that with the Dallas line and with Zeke, I think they could really just pound the ball and would be able to win that game. I may or may not switch that one, but it went from being a fairly confident loss to a more of a toss-up. I even would give them a decent chance in the Green Bay game in Week 5. Again, without Zeke, I think that Green Bay probably wins. With him, it's a little bit closer. So there could be what happens with that. In the second half, once games, assuming he's going to be back for, I have them beating good teams in KC at home. I do have them losing on the road to Atlanta. I do have them losing on the road to both the Giants and to Oakland, but I have them beating Seattle. And I have them winning at Philadelphia, which could be, as I said, that would put them ahead of Philadelphia in the division and would keep their playoff hopes alive. So right now I have them squarely on the playoff bubble. If they win any of these games that I have them losing with Zeke out, or if Zeke isn't here and they win some extra games, they are much more in the playoff mix. Just winning one more game. So I actually have them being swept by the Giants. So one more win would just have them losing, instead of finishing second ahead of Philadelphia based on the tiebreaker, they would finish second to the Giants while tying them based on the tiebreaker. So anyway, so speaking of the Giants, I nominally have them at number 1. Honestly, without all of this other stuff going around and looking specifically at games, I would have picked them second. Probably still would have had them as a 10-win team. But I probably would have just said Dallas was more like an 11-win team. But now we don't know exactly what's going on, so that changed up. So like I said, I have them sweeping Dallas. I actually have them a little bit of a slow start. I do have them going 2-0, but then I have them losing their next 2, and actually going into their Week 8 bye, I have them with losing record 3-4. The games I have them losing are all pretty tough. So at Philly, at Tampa, at Denver, and Seattle at home. I have them winning home games against the Chargers and Detroit. Detroit I actually think will be pretty good. And that win against Dallas. So they actually could be worse than that if they don't pull off the Dallas win. But then after that, they have a much more favorable second half schedule. First 2 games out of the bye are the Rams and the Niners, so those should be pretty easy wins. I do have them losing at home to Washington, at home to Oakland, but I have them winning all of their other games. Almost all of them home games. So I think they have a very good defense. I do think that they have some decent, obviously Beckham is a stud. Marshall, it's going to depend, is he the 2014 guy or the 2015 guy? Really, even the same with Eli. If he puts up his 2014 numbers, then they're going to be a pretty good offense. If he plays more like last year, especially if Marshall has lost his step, I think that offense is not going to be very good. So The defense will carry them pretty far because that still should be very, very good. You like probably, easily top 10, probably top 5. Could even be contention for one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the league overall. So I have them going 10-6 and winning the division. Like I said, nominally, depending on exactly what happens with Dallas, I think they could do it. Even if they didn't have the cloud over what's exactly going on with the Cowboys, but that definitely makes it a lot more, lot more likely. All right, so that's the NFC East. As always, thank you for watching, and please like, comment, and share the videos, and subscribe to our channel. You can follow us on other social media. Facebook and Twitter are both at MA Sports Central. Thanks, and we will see you soon.